Welcome to part 2 of the North Pole video series designed to help you experience truly extraordinary and unforgettable moments. Here's a quick agenda for what we'll go over in this video. What can I see and do? And when should I go? As I mentioned before, there is so much to see and do during the 4 to 6 ice days en route. In good weather, passengers will be invited out on deck to witness the spectacle of the ship crushing through thick ice. The churn of the engine, the crack of huge chunks of ice, the brilliant blaze of the midnight sun. Being on deck is truly a treat for the senses. They'll also have opportunities to visit the bridge of the icebreaker, which is a rare chance in itself. Our open bridge policy means guests are welcome to access the bridge to observe the power of this incredible vessel when conditions are favorable. Seabirds often visit the ship and accompany us on our way, and it's not uncommon to see seals or walrus hauling out on the ice. In open water, we're constantly on the lookout for whales. If they're lucky, and this is something we cannot promise at all because there are wild animals and they're totally unpredictable, passengers might even see a polar bear on the ice stalking seals. Rest assured, our expedition team is always on the lookout for wildlife, so if there are seals, polar bear, or walruses hauled out on the ice, you won't miss it. And of course, for those of you who are especially passionate about photography, just imagine the landscape and wildlife photography opportunities that await in the land of the midnight sun. Some photographers have described the light as pure and pristine, perfect for capturing the brilliant hues of the water, ice, and never-ending sky. The great thing about this expedition is that there are plenty of ways to customize the experience. Depending on your pace, it can be either as fast-paced or as relaxing as you choose to make it. Some days, you could decide to join new friends in the gym for a game of volleyball or basketball to get moving, or kick back in the library and explore a selection of texts on the region's fascinating history and ecology. On other days, you could head to the bridge or deck for whale watching and spectacular landscape photography, or take in an expert lecture. The Polar Library is a fantastic resource if you are inspired by absorbing knowledge and want to find out as much as you can about the regions you're visiting and the experience you're having. Our expedition staff are polar experts with a wide range of specialties, including marine biology, ornithology, glaciology, geology, and more. We often host special guests and scientists on many cruises, and these people give presentations as well. They might be researchers or historians or zoologists. In addition to all these activities, we run a variety of social events throughout the expedition before and after we reach the North Pole. These include the captain's welcome and the farewell receptions, which are slightly more formal. There's also a traditional Russian dinner to enjoy. Again, you have the flexibility to be as involved as much as you wish. And when the ship finally reaches 90 degrees north, you'll gather with other passengers to raise a glass and take a brief moment of reflection to recognize your massive travel achievement. For lunch, service staff and your expedition team will prepare a delicious barbecue to enjoy out on the ice, weather permitting, of course. At the North Pole, there are a variety of outdoor experiences included in the fair that you can choose to participate in. Ice walks. Exploring this pristine environment by foot is one of the best ways to appreciate it, whether at a vigorous or contemplative pace. Polar plunge. And for those passengers who want to experience a rite of passage, they can join other brave souls in a polar plunge into the frigid waters of the Arctic Ocean. Under the watchful eye of our staff, of course. One more experience I'll mention that is included in the voyage fare, but doesn't take place at the North Pole, are helicopter sightseeing tours. This ship carries a helicopter that makes it possible for us to take passengers on aerial sightseeing adventures to bays that are inaccessible for shore landings, as well as glaciers atop mountains. Weather dependent, you may have the opportunity for an excursion en route. Paid experiences, hot air balloon, and if you want to take it up a notch, you can take a ride on our tethered hot air balloon, soaring above the action below and getting a whole new perspective on the North Pole. We're actually the only tour operator who offers a hot air balloon experience to passengers at the North Pole. Personal milestones. And since it's such a significant accomplishment to reach the North Pole, many passengers take advantage of this opportunity to commemorate the special event with a personal celebration of their own. We've had a Inukshuk building, a book signing, marriage proposals, and much, much more initiated by passengers as they've celebrated their bucket list dream come true. Once we've left the North Pole, weather permitting, we'll visit Franz Josef Land on the way back. It's a beautiful group of 191 islands that form the most northerly archipelago in Eurasia. Completely within the Arctic Circle, it's a fantastic place to hike at a site called Cape Flora and to visit the sites of historic remains from 3 previous Arctic expeditions. This is where the weather often allows us to set out in the zodiacs and cruise around the islands, exploring remote bird colonies in the massive cliffs overhead. There are landing sites here that are hardly ever visited, but when the conditions are right, we can cruise out to them and explore. If you're wondering what time of year you should travel to the North Pole, we travel to the North Pole mid to late June and early July because earlier in the year there isn't as much daylight. It's much colder, and the ice can still be quite thick, reducing our chances of reaching the North Pole and making it harder to explore off the ship. This concludes part 2 of the video series. In the next video, we'll review the itinerary for this voyage. Watch part 3 to keep learning.